Alright, what's up guys, it's Reclaimer, and welcome back to another edition of Getting Better at Halo 5. So, sorry that it's taken so long for the next episode to come out, but been focusing a lot on the stream. Obviously, you guys have heard me talk about it in the last couple videos. We don't need to go over it again. Essentially, been focusing a lot on the stream. If you aren't following me over there, make sure you go follow me. It's twitch.tv/ReclickThrone. It's Reclaimer with an A, or with an X instead of an A. Link is in the description of every single video, along with Twitter, Patreon, merchandise, all that stuff, the Discord server. Go check all that out. So, today we're going to be looking at a Coliseum flag game, and I do want to stress before this video starts, because I know that most of these games where I'm giving you guys tips are not, most of the time they're going to be wins, and I have gotten some feedback before where people say they want to see losses and they want to see what we could have gone over better, and that's definitely something that I'm interested in doing, because I definitely think there's a lot that you can learn, almost as much as you can learn from the things you did right. There's more things that you can, I worded that really weirdly, but there's more that you can learn from a loss than there is from a win. Like, that's pretty obvious. So, but today we're going to be looking at a win, because I did a lot of things right this game, and it resulted in a pretty quick win, and so I wanted to go over a couple things with you guys. So today we're going to be talking a little bit about spawns and spawn manipulation and just paying attention, as well as the whole numbers advantage thing, which we've gone over before. Paying attention to your radar, which is actually really important in HCS still. Because a radar, a play that I make based off of what I see on my radar ends up resulting in a flag cap this game, as well as cross mapping, which is something that I want to go over really quickly. So, really quickly before I press play on this, just to go over cross mapping a little bit. If you guys don't know what cross mapping is, essentially it's exactly what it sounds like. It's where you shoot from one end of the map across the map instead of, you know, finding somebody up close or even mid range. So say, on Coliseum, if I spawn elbow and then I go Rocket Street, and then if I'm on our Rocket Street, I'm sitting there shooting at somebody who's S3, or shooting at somebody who's their bridge, or shooting at somebody their fountain or something like that. Essentially, that's what cross mapping is. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, because cross mapping is something that you have to understand when to do it and when not to do it, because there are times where it is super detrimental to your team and being efficient on the map. Efficiency is one of the things we've talked about before. Extremely important, especially in a competitive atmosphere and a competitive environment, such as the HCS playlist. So, say that like your team goes 3 dead and they're starting to push into your base and you spawn elbow, right? And if you go Rocket Street, it doesn't do your team pretty much any good to sit there and just shoot across the map, right? If they're already running your flag, it's in your best interest to overextend or wrap back through your base or whatever it may be. But there are acceptable times to cross map, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. We're going to go ahead and jump into this game. So I was playing against a team of 3. I think I see these guys with SIV in their gamer tags all the time. I don't know if that's a clan or a team or something, but I end up playing against teams of 3 and 4 with that gamer tag all the time. But yeah, essentially, talk about the breakout real quick. A lot of people ask me about my breakouts on maps, and there are, on a lot of maps, there are special breakouts that you can do. Like, you can come up with different strategies and different jumps and things to help you get places quickly. Coliseum is a pretty poor example of breakouts, because the breakout on Coliseum is always going to be pretty standard, with the exception of like a couple things. Generally, you want to send a couple guys snipe side, you want to send a guy maybe bridge, and then you want to send a guy rockets, right? Because 2 power weapons on the map, and you want to try to secure the power weapons and map control faster than the other team. The breakout's always really important on a map. So it's a little bit different from a map like Plaza, or even Regret, or Truth is another really good one. So like, I have a special jump that I do that I went and practiced in custom games in order to secure camo. I have special breakouts on Empire and even Fathom, back when we played Fathom in the rotation. Like, Cole had a jump that he would do every single time, where he would thrust off of a box and it would put him top center faster than everybody else. So if you want to learn more about breakouts, I'll definitely cover that more in a later episode. But essentially, breakouts on Coliseum, unless you want to send, like, we had a thing we did when we were still competing, like before MLG Orlando, we had a strat on Coliseum flag where we would send 1 or 2 guys, trenches, rocket side, just give up snipe side completely, and then just run to their base and get a flag pull. And a lot of times that would result in an easy flag cap. But unless you're doing something like that, or something like you're jumping from silver to silver to try to get behind them fast, your breakout on this map is going to be pretty standard. So especially while solo queuing, I don't really try to do any of that weird teamwork based stuff. stuff where you have to communicate with your teammates. While solo queuing, I just chose a standard breakout. A couple of my teammates, I think one of them went bridge and one of them went rockets, and then me and another teammate went snipe side. And essentially, you just want to fight for map control here. So these are pretty standard nades. That nade snipe ramp is pretty poor. That's not a very good nade. You want to have a nade land their snipe ramp because obviously people go there a lot. And then usually I'll throw a nade over here. These are pretty standard easy nades, but if you bank a nade off of this wall right here, it'll land right here on their Gandhi, and then a lot of people push up, you know, Gandhi or sneaky, whatever you call that. A lot of people will push there to the pyramid, and unfortunately it got timed weird, so I didn't end up hitting. But keep in mind your nades off the start. Breakouts and nades are both very important. So right here, I noticed that they have rockets, and I kind of mess up my jump, so I basically just try to stay alive. Be a little bit weird because I don't want to let them have map control without the fight. So I get that guy one shot, I get this guy one shot, and then I think another guy cleans me up right here. Yeah. So I didn't end up getting any kills there, and we didn't end up securing any power weapons, but we delayed a push. So there's always positives to everything, or I guess different sides of everything. You got to look at it from multiple perspectives. So like, yeah, it seems like a pretty poor breakout, right? We lost the power weapons, we died, they have map control, but we got a couple guys one shot, we pushed them back, they used a rocket, so they used some of their power weapons, they wasted a rocket, which is, you only get 2 rockets, and then since we got them one shot and backed them off, that resulted in us being able to mount a counter push out of our base instead of them just running us over and getting a like an easy flagpole at the beginning. So always keep in mind, stay alive, be annoying, try to delay the other team, try to pull them away, and do whatever you can. So like right here, you can see whenever I start getting shot by this guy, I start backing up into a weird position. My teammates are dying as well. So I get that guy one shot, I'm bottom middle, and then I have to cause, like I get this guy one shot as well. Then I cause multiple people to have to come back and look at me. So we waste a lot of time there. So not as bad as it seems. So just keep those kind of things in mind whenever you're playing. So there are good and bad deaths. Right here, essentially just trying to clear out our base. There's multiple people pushing, so trying to stop the flag as well as get out of our base. Unfortunately, I take a nade right there, and then we get to this is a pretty unique scenario, or not a pretty unique scenario. This is a scenario that I want to talk about. So after I get in this fight right here, I think I end up killing this guy. Yeah, so right here we're in a flag standoff. So flag standoffs can be tricky. So you'll see what I do right here is I push up by myself. There was a guy right there that I let pass. I don't shoot, I walk, and I end up coming up on their flag carrier, and I end up getting an easy return. So let's talk about flag standoffs a little bit. So at this point right here, we are in a flag standoff. We have their flag, they have our flag. So most of the time, what you want to do is you want to see what your teammates are doing. You want to try to play around your teammates. Generally, pushing by yourself to the other team's base is not a good idea. Most of the time, whenever you push by yourself, if you make a solo push, what you're doing is you're allowing yourself to give up an easy death, because most of the time you're going to be running into multiple members of the enemy team. And if you give up an easy death, obviously you give up numbers advantage. They can now push your team, who is now outnumbered, and then you're on the back foot on the defensive. So, but what you can do is pay attention to where everyone is, pay attention to the flag carriers, pay attention to who has more alive. So like right here, we end up killing that guy, and then I noticed that they haven't killed me yet. That guy pushes right past me, and so they don't know where I am. So I have at least one opportunity to try to make a play in their base. You see I'm walking, I'm not sprinting, I'm trying not to show up on radar. And then since I let them get past, I'm able to come up behind their flag carrier, get an easy kill, and then get an easy re. So just pay attention to how many people are alive, pay attention to where people are on the map, because 9 times out of 10, I should not have pushed by myself in that situation. But because I paid attention and because I knew where everyone was on the map, I was able to capitalize on the gap in their setup, and I was able to get a return, and we were able to cap the flag because of it. So right here, give up another death. So essentially, we're just gonna, continue the fight for map control. So just focusing on staying alive, getting kills. Right here, this is a perfect example of what I was talking about earlier. So right here, I spawn elbow, and instead of going top rockets or cross mapping or whatever, I realize what I'm doing and I turn around and I wrap back through our base. But essentially, right there, whenever you spawn up on a map, you're going to spawn where there is the least risk on a map, if that makes sense. So if there are enemies pushing into our snipe side, I'm going to spawn on the elbow. So what happens then if most of your team dies around the same time, which we kind of are, we're kind of going 2 and 3 dead around the same time, you're all going to spawn in the same place, so it does your team absolutely no good to all 4 of you push up rocket side and just leave, you know, 2/3 of the map open. There's nobody in your base, there's nobody in the mid lane, there's nobody snipe side, and obviously snipe side is the preferred side of this map. So I decided to double back, and we do end up getting 2 dead, so it probably wouldn't have mattered if I had messed around and done something stupid rocket side, but I always want to pay attention to snipe side, and your team's spread on the map is a term that we use a lot. Understanding where your teammates are, as well as the enemies. So right here, you can see I make a crouch play right here, just kind of wait right here, and that guy ends up jumping right past me, which is a little bit lucky. But right here, let's talk about this just a little bit. Right here, a couple of my teammates die, I think, right before this, and I've already pushed up. So what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to be really annoying. I'm going to play a spot right here because after they get these 2 kills, right, they have cleared their base. So their immediate reaction is they are going to push up out of their base and try to regain map control. So you make a play like this, which is I'm just crouching in a weird spot. I make it to where they push right past me, and then I'm able to pick up an easy kill, get another guy 1 shot, and then that sort of delays their whole counter push. So make a pretty sneaky play, end up picking up a kill, and then I right here end up getting sniped, but still have a couple dead, and then we have map control. So the rockets are up, so see that right there, that was an acceptable time to cross map. We have just gotten 2 dead, and then the rockets are up, so I take a position S3, which is a fantastic position to overlook the rocket street. I'm able to get shots on this guy who's pushing my teammates, and then we kill this guy, we get rockets, we now have a power weapon. So just keep in mind, there are different situations where cross mapping is acceptable, and there are situations where it's not. So right here, pushing in with our teammates, and then right here, this is something I wanted to talk about. So I take the time to pull this flag, right? And if you can see, I mean, the thing's kind of in the way, but there's a red dot right there, enemy right here. So we pushed in sort of weirdly. We have a teammate snipe side, we have a teammate top rockets, I believe, and then I pushed in from bridge, and my other teammate pushed in from elbow. So my initial instinct was to run it elbow side. I was going to run it rocket side because that's where we pushed in from, so I assume that they're going to spawn snipe side. Obviously, these things are easy to figure out whenever you have communication, but in the case of solo queue, you don't. So right here, my initial reaction is to pull a rocket side, but I see that guy on my radar, so I immediately redirect and I run the flag the other way. So let's watch the radar right here. So if you look in the bottom left corner at my radar, I start running this, I see the guy, and then instead of jumping from, because what I was going to do is jump it from, it's a route that I like to take, is either jump it to our silver and try to get kills, or just jump it bottom middle and run trench. Unfortunately, I fumble right here, but I take this route S3, which is the fastest route that I can go from that side. And then here's another radar play. This is what we were talking about earlier. So after the fumble, pick up the flag, and I know that they're going to be hot on my ass, so I am just holding forward, going to their base as fast as I can, and I see this guy on my radar. So instead of, which this is the thing that I see people do all the time, instead of just ignoring that guy and just hauling ass towards the flag and trying to cap it as quick as I can, I turn around, I fight that guy, and I end up getting a pretty nice 5. But it's better to make that guy weak, I think. I mean, this is a pretty heads-up play. If you lose the battle, you're in trouble of giving up the return. But if you win the battle, obviously there's no more people on your tail. And so it's just you got to keep track of it. Like if you're feeling confident in yourself, it's one of those things where like if you win it, it's a good play, which it was. If you lose it, it's a bad play and you give up a return. But either way, it works. We get it right here. And right here, just trying to clear them out of our base, regain map control. I get a nice double kill right here, and then that's 3 dead. And then right here, I see this guy trying to push up rocket side to get another nice 5. So that's another example of acceptable cross mapping. And then we have, I think we got 3 or 4 dead. So now we have a power weapon. We're looking to push in on the spawners. We pick up a couple kills. And then now we're going to try to push into their base. So this is a pretty standard spot to snipe from. Unfortunately, I get taken out But we're still putting pressure on their base. There's not a whole lot they can do. We're putting a whole lot of pressure on them on top of the fact that we're up 2-0. So essentially just trying to keep fighting for map control, keep getting kills, and then push their base as fast as we can. So end up winning a nice fight right there. And that's another 2 dead for us. We still have numbers advantage. They're going to be spawning up. We are trying to get the kills, pushing into their base. And right here, I just take the time to pull this again. And then I see this right here, which this is another example of just reading a situation in pretty quick time. Like right here, my teammates, and I noticed that we had at least 2 teammates that were fighting over on the elbow. So I had 2 teammates that were fighting. Even though there's an enemy on the elbow, we have more teammates on the elbow than we do anywhere else. So even though there's an enemy over there and there's a fight going on, there are going to be less enemies over there because they're not going to be spawning there. If that makes sense. So I make the play call because their cave is open to run it towards elbow. Even though there is an enemy over here, I run it towards the elbow, and then my teammate wins that battle, and I just run it as fast as I can back to our base, and results in the end of the game for us. So that's gonna do it for this Kali flag. Like I said, I hear you guys about the whole wins and losses thing. I definitely don't want it to seem like I'm only going over games where I do good, or only going over games where I do things right. I feel like in this situation, it's definitely helpful to tell you the things that I'm doing right, because I consider myself a pretty good player, and I generally think that I know what I'm talking about. So I think that some of my knowledge definitely help you guys. But I definitely want to go over some losses in the future and talk about things that we can do better, because obviously, like I said, I would consider myself a pretty good player, but I'm not good all the time, and I'm definitely not the best. So there are all kinds of things that I can learn and things that I do wrong in games. So that's definitely something that I want to go over with you guys in a future one of these. But thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys found something. I hope you guys got something out of this. I hope you guys found this informative. Let me know again what you guys think in the comments. Leave me some feedback. Let me know what you thought of this, and let me know what you'd like to see in future episodes. But yeah, that's gonna do it for me today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Like, appreciate, subscribe for new much respect as always, and I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.